Up until just over a week ago, this would have been one of the last Ukrainian checkpoints before reaching the front line in the Kherson region.
Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава!
Now manned by local children playing war. From here we travel to the network of villages recently taken back by Ukrainian forces to meet grown-ups who wish it was all make-believe.
Важко, конечно, важко.
The village of Pryhirya was retaken from the Russians during the last days of March. Soldiers, both real and monumental, destroyed in the fierce fighting, which continues not far from here. We're getting much closer to the front line here, and we've just heard a volley of artillery fire in the distance. We were escorted in by the local military administration, but once inside, given free rein to go anywhere and talk to anyone we wanted. Above ground, the rural idyll looks largely intact, but underneath the surface, down into hell. On the 13th of March, pensioner Ihor Tarasuk and his wife were hiding in this cellar behind their farmhouse. Above ground, fierce fighting as the Russians tried to hold this position. During a brief lull in the battle, Ihor peeked out the door of the cellar and was spotted by Russian soldiers. His wife, Tetiana, was at the bottom of the steps.
Не вспів, він отак тільки відкрив двері з погреба. І от саме його попали в живіт, і тоді в ногу, він скотився. Вони підбігли до погреба, вибили двері, кинули одну гранату на ступеньки, вона розірвалася. Тоді другу гранату вже на нього кинули.
Then Tetiana heard the footsteps of the soldier coming down into the cellar.
З фонариком спустився. Я прикинулася, що в мене ж і тут крові все було, і руки ось в крові були, все ж і живіт, і ноги. Він спустився, фонариком посвітив, а я прикинулася, що ми готові. Тоді піднявся і отут стояв по рації, сказав, всі готові.
Tetiana and Ihor spent a lot of time in the garden together. Tetiana continues to tend the roses alone.
Важко, звісно, важко. Сильно важко, звісно, без нього.
In a neighboring village, we meet Natalia Yanetska. 10 Russian soldiers commandeered her house during the occupation. Natalia and 16 other villagers spent 3 weeks in this cellar during the fiercest of the fighting. One night, a Russian soldier came down the ladder. He robbed them all of the few valuables they had with them. Then he told them he had been in prison for 8 years in the so-called Donetsk People's Republic and had been released to come here to fight.
Ну, він автомат нас вставляв та каже, мені все одно, чи я буду ще сидіти, ще можу 15 сидіти, що, чи думав нас постріляти, ми ж не знаємо, що. Ми там трусили, нас всім боялися, там і діти в погребі були.
Throughout the day, we were told stories of unspeakable atrocities in these villages. The head of the Ukrainian military administration in a neighboring area reiterated to us that ex-convicts from the previously annexed parts of Luhansk and Donetsk had been on the sharp end of the war crimes committed here.
Former prisoners in the LPR, do you mean that ex-prisoners were sent out as soldiers?
Да. І вони ж розповідали, ми от з ЛНР, з ДНР приїхали вас звільняти, ми зараз вам тут покажемо, як ми там жили там 8 років, як нас знущалися. А вони ж, ну, такі, знаєте, верстви населення, якщо вони осуджені, да, то у них там трошки з психікою не то, і вони там безчинства такі витворяли.
The town of Zelenodolsk never fell to the Russians, but it's the first place people come to after escaping from the occupied town of Viskovilya in the Kherson region, 12 miles away. People arrive all day on 2 wheels and on 3. Reunite with family members who have fled before. We were told that sometimes people actually get help from some Russian soldiers to escape, but such acts of kindness are not the prevailing narrative here. On the day we were here, everyone was talking about what happened to one couple in particular. Yulia Stadnik, a community worker, takes up their story.
Here we had one family, husband and wife. They came here for medicine, for food products, not only for their family, but for everybody on their street in the Vysokopilia village.
Sergei and Svetlana Lanevich collected the medicine, but then cycled back into occupation. It was just after midday on the 1st of June, exactly a week ago today, when Russian soldiers arrived at the house of this remarkable couple. They murdered them both in the yard outside their home. We've spoken to several people with intimate knowledge of the killing, including their family. They wanted us to report what happened that day, but asked us not to broadcast all the details. Suffice to say, there were layers to the horror.